There's a specific type of satisfaction that comes from canceling plans and staying home. Not guilt, not FOMO, not the anxiety everyone assumes you must be feeling. Just pure, uncomplicated relief. Like you've been holding your breath all week and finally someone gave you permission to exhale. You close the door, you hear the lock click, and something in your nervous system says, "Here, this, finally." The world outside is fine, beautiful even, full of experiences and people and moments that photographs well. But none of it calls to you the way your couch does, your kitchen, your particular arrangement of pillows, the specific quality of light that comes through your window at 4 p.m. And everyone keeps asking the same question, with the same mixture of concern and confusion. Don't you get bored? But boredom isn't even in the same universe as what you feel at home. What you feel is something closer to peace, to alignment, to being exactly where you're supposed to be. And you've stopped trying to explain it to people who will never understand. We live in a culture that glorifies going out, adventure, exploration, saying yes, living your best life, which apparently can only happen in restaurants, on trips, at events, anywhere but the place you actually live. Your social currency is measured in experiences, in stamps on your passport, in stories that start with, "So we were in this incredible place." Staying home is treated like a temporary state, a waiting room for real life, something you do between the things that actually matter. And if you prefer staying home, if you actively choose it over invitations and opportunities and adventures, people look at you like you're wasting something. Youth, freedom, life itself. They use words like hermit and homebody like diagnoses. They ask if you're depressed. They send you articles about the importance of stepping outside your comfort zone. But here's what they don't understand. Home isn't your comfort zone. Home is your power source. It's not where you hide from life. It's where you gather the energy to live it. Let's talk about what home actually is for people who love staying there. It's not just a physical space. It's a psychological state. It's the only place where you don't have to perform, where your face can do whatever it wants, where you can exist without an audience, without expectation, without the constant low-level management of how you're being perceived. In the world, you're playing a role: employee, friend, daughter, partner. The version of yourself that fits into social spaces. That version is real, but it's not complete. At home, you're whole. The parts you edit out in public get to exist. The weird parts, the quiet parts, the parts that don't translate well in group settings. Home is where all of you gets to be present at once. And if you're someone with a rich internal world, someone who processes deeply, who feels intensely, who thinks in layers, that matters more than people realize. Because the world is loud, stimulating, demanding, and your nervous system isn't built for constant stimulation. You're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're just someone who processes a high volume of information and needs corresponding time to integrate it. Every conversation you have generates thoughts that need space to unfold. Every experience creates ripples that need time to settle. And you can't do that processing in the noise. You need silence, stillness, the specific kind of solitude that only home provides. So, when you stay home on a Friday night while everyone else is out, you're not missing out. You're doing necessary maintenance on your inner world. Here's the paradox. People who love staying home are often deeply engaged with life. They read voraciously, they create, they think, they feel things deeply. They're not checked out, they're checked in, just to a different frequency than the one that requires leaving the house. They have friendships, real ones. They just don't need to see people 3 times a week to maintain them. They appreciate beauty. They just find it in the way morning light hits their wall, not in a sunset from a mountaintop that required 3 flights and a hotel. They're not less adventurous. They're just adventurous in different territory. The territory of ideas, of introspection, of slowly mastering a skill in private, of building something meaningful that doesn't require an audience. And there's something revolutionary about that in a world addicted to external validation. Because staying home is an act of resistance against the tyranny of constant productivity, constant socializing, constant proof that you're living correctly. It says, "My life doesn't need to be witnessed to matter. My Saturday night alone with a book is just as valuable as your Saturday night at a party. Maybe more valuable. For me, for my specific nervous system and soul." Meet Anna, 33. Graphic designer. Lives alone in a one-bedroom apartment she's decorated exactly how she wants. Her friends have stopped inviting her to things. Not out of malice, just acceptance. They know she'll say no, or she'll say yes and cancel, or she'll come and leave early, drained. It used to bother her, the slow fade from group chats, the gradual reduction of invitations, but now she's grateful. Because the friendships that remain are the ones with people who understand. The friend who's happy to sit in comfortable silence while they both read. The friend who comes over instead of always suggesting going out. The friend who doesn't take it personally when Anna needs 3 days to respond to a text. Anna's life looks small from the outside. Same apartment, same routines, same quiet weekends. But from the inside, it's vast. She's learning Italian on an app. She's halfway through a novel she's been writing for 2 years. She's taught herself to make sourdough, to watercolor, to identify birds by their calls outside her window. She has a whole world. It just fits inside 4 walls. And she stopped apologizing for that. Meet James, 28, works remotely, hasn't been to his office in 6 months. His manager keeps suggesting he come in for culture and collaboration. But James is more productive at home. Demonstrably, his metrics prove it. Because at the office, he's spending energy on things that have nothing to do with work. Small talk, navigating social dynamics, pretending to look busy, managing his face during meetings. At home, he just works, deeply, without interruption. And when he's done, he closes his laptop and he's already where he wants to be. No commute. No transition, no decompression period. He's just here, in his space, with his dog, with his coffee exactly how he likes it. People assume he's lonely, but he has friends online, real friendships, people he's never met in person but who know him better than his college roommates did. Because the friendships are built on actual compatibility, not proximity. And that feels more authentic than maintaining relationships with people just because you happen to live in the same city. Meet Priya, 41, married, 2 kids. Her husband is social, needs people, gets energy from groups. And for years, she tried to match him. Said yes to dinners, to parties, to weekend plans with other families. Until she realized she's spending her entire life doing things that deplete her to avoid disappointing people. So she stopped, started saying no, started staying home while her husband goes out. At first, he took it personally, thought she didn't want to be with him, but she explained, "I love you, and I need this." Both things are true. Now they have a rhythm. He goes out, she stays in. They meet back at home and both are happier. She stopped feeling guilty for it. Stopped explaining herself. Because she's finally understood, her need for home isn't a deficit, it's a requirement. Like sleep, like food, non-negotiable for her well-being. Let's go deeper into what staying home actually provides. It's sovereignty. At home, you make all the rules. What you eat and when. What you wear. What temperature it is. What sounds fill the space. You're not negotiating. Not compromising, not adjusting to someone else's preferences. For people who spend all day accommodating others, this autonomy is sacred. It's creative space. You can't think deeply while you're socializing. Can't create while you're consuming. Can't process while you're performing. Creativity requires spaciousness, boredom even. And home is where you give yourself permission to be bored enough for ideas to emerge. It's sensory regulation. The world is designed for neurotypical nervous systems. Bright lights, loud music, crowds, smells, textures. For highly sensitive people, for people on the spectrum, for people with anxiety or sensory processing differences, the world is an assault. Home is calibrated, controlled, safe. It's where your nervous system can finally stop defending. It's identity preservation. In social settings, you become a reflection of the group. You code switch, you mirror, you adjust your personality to fit the context. At home, you remember who you actually are, underneath all that adaptation. And if you've spent years losing yourself in other people's expectations, that remembering is essential. Here's what it costs to love staying home in a culture that doesn't value it. You're seen as less than, less adventurous, less fun, less alive. People make assumptions that you're depressed, anxious, traumatized, avoiding something. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes home is a hiding place. But often, it's just a preference. And preferences don't need pathologizing. You miss things, events, moments, spontaneous connections that only happen when you show up. And sometimes you feel it. The tug of FOMO. The wondering if you're doing life wrong. But then you go out. Force yourself to that party, that event, that thing you're supposed to want. And you spend the whole time wanting to leave, counting down until it's socially acceptable to go. And you drive home and walk through your door and feel it again. That relief. And you remember, this is where I belong. So how do you live as someone who loves staying home in a world built for going out? First, stop justifying it. You don't need a reason. You don't need to be tired or busy or sick. I don't want to is a complete sentence. Second, find your people. The ones who also love staying in. The ones who suggest FaceTime instead of dinner. The ones who understand that you can love them and also not want to see them for 3 months. Those friendships exist, and they're gold. Third, design your life around this truth. Remote work, if you can. A home you actually love being in. Routines that nourish you instead of deplete you. Stop living like staying home is temporary. Build a life that honors it. Fourth, do go out sometimes. Not because you should, but because occasional contrast makes home sweeter. Experience the world enough to know you still prefer your couch. And finally, release the guilt. You're not wasting your life by staying home. You're living it, just differently. And different isn't wrong. Here's the truth they don't tell you. The world needs people who stay home. Because those people write the books, compose the music, paint the paintings, build the apps, think the thoughts that become innovations. They're not disconnected from the world. They're processing it, deeply, in solitude. And then they give back what they've created in that solitude. So your Friday night alone isn't wasted. It's generative. It's where you become the fullest version of yourself. And that version has things to offer that the exhausted, overstimulated, performed version never could. There's a moment, usually on a Sunday afternoon, when you're home, maybe reading, maybe cooking, maybe just sitting in your favorite chair watching dust particles float through sunlight, and you feel it, that fullness, that quiet joy. Not the loud happiness of a great party, not the adrenaline of an adventure, just peace. Deep, bone-level peace. And you think, this is it. This is what everyone's searching for. And I found it, here, at home. Not because the world has nothing to offer, but because home has everything I need. And maybe the truest adventure isn't finding new landscapes. It's finding yourself. Fully, finally. And for some of us, that only happens when we stop running toward everything else and stay still long enough to notice what's already here. In the quiet, in the familiar, in the sacred ordinary of home. Because home isn't where you retreat from life. It's where you finally have the space to live it.